Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I'm your girl, Tenitra Batiste. That is Jarvis Davis. And we appreciate you guys for rocking with not just us, but our special guest today. And that's why you keep coming back and getting us all the way to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube almost. So continue to subscribe so we can bring you great guests like this and great content about all things Atlanta sports. And of course, like us and follow us as well. And wherever you check out your podcast, whatever platform that is, make sure when you go, before you go, you give us a 5-star review because when we bring you 5-star guests like this, that's just what you should do. So without further ado, because there's always lots to get into with our guy, Deshaun Tate, that is exactly what we're going to do. I could call him an NBA insider, but that wouldn't be enough. I could call him a college basketball insider, but that wouldn't tell all the whole story. But what it will tell the whole story is to call him our brother. He is the friend to not just this show, but everything Jarvis and I have ever done. So, with the NBA Finals wrapping up and free agency gearing up, and of course, gearing up for the draft in the NBA, who better to join this show than Deshaun Tate? So, our guy, welcome, welcome, welcome. And we're just going to get right into it and ask you kind of a two-part question about the NBA Finals on the Warriors side, D. What is it that you would say, just in terms of what this win means for the Warriors, for Steph Curry, and for their legacy? But on the B side, what does the loss in the finals mean for the Celtics and what their offseason may look like for this team to compete and contend again next year?
Now, I appreciate you guys for having me first and foremost. And as far as what it means for them as far as winning, it's just extra proof, just more proof that through the determination and all the hard work that you put in, even overcoming adversity. And I think you heard Steph kind of say a little mention on yesterday during the post game press conference, amongst other things, celebration is that this one hit a little bit different. Yes, they've won championships without KD before. They've won championships with KD, and he's not the only guy. But even more so that you had guys where Steph Curry, after, clearly making himself known as the best three-point shooter ever in history, he then starts going cold. You haven't had Klay Thompson for over 2 years. You don't know how he's going to come back from that injury. Draymond Green was injured going into the playoffs this year, and that's their big three. And you got a lot of other guys who are good, but they're unproven in these situations, like Poole and some of the others. And Wiggins never been in this position before, so it's really all about trusting each other and things of that nature. Now, as far as Boston goes, it goes to show that you have to take advantage of these types of opportunities. There's no guarantee you're getting back. Everybody thought the Phoenix Suns was probably going to win the championship this year, and there was
Yeah,
no guarantee they got back. So,
yeah.
just from that standpoint, it's really just about developing and establishing the chemistry that you have between one another. That's what makes Golden State the well-oiled machine that they are. And if not nothing else, it's taking is learning something from Golden State to how truly special you got to be to win it.
Yeah, yeah. And on that B side, D, what about the Celtics? What is it that this loss in the NBA Finals means for them, especially when you're starting to hear thoughts about what to do, maybe moving some pieces or some parts in order for them to not just contend next year, but really put themselves in position to get back to the finals and maybe win it?
Yeah, I think that, what it really comes down to for them is just really trying to see if you can keep those core guys. I know a lot of people were saying, rumors circulating and so forth in the rumor mill about, you know, do you start trying to look at moving, Tatum, and is Brown really the guy after most people think? Kind of seems obvious that you keep somebody like a Tatum, but Brown was the one that really showed up in this series. And from the beginning, they were talking about these guys can't work well together, and they've still got a really good nucleus between one another. But I think it's just about trying to really stay together, keeping their core pieces, and really just trying to do a good job at making sure that they're being very clear in communicating with the front office so that they can have a chance at cracking at this thing again.
Speaking of front office, Travis Schlenk, the president of basketball ops for the Atlanta Hawks, used to work with the Golden State Warriors in their front office. So I know for a fact he was sitting there watching last night, saying, "Okay, how can I get my team to this spot? I want to be in this spot so I can solidify myself as the person who brought an NBA championship to the Atlanta Hawks." Now, in a recent article, Tate, Schlenk said that there are several routes he can take to fix, not overhaul this team.
Mm-hmm.
For you, I know with all the rumors and everything going around, trade rumors and who they want in the draft or possibly but I want to ask you, I want you to put on your general manager hat. How do you fix this team, or what route would you take to try to fix this team? Who would you have your eye on or try to draft to try to get the Hawks where they need to be?
You probably don't draft. You probably don't try to get younger. You try to get older. You need more grown-ups. You need more adults.
That's a
That's
perfect way
what
to
you
say
need.
it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I don't think that this is a team that's going to get significantly better by continuing to draft just because they don't have the older guys. Some guys can afford to draft and get younger even when you don't think that they can't because they have those older guys that are there to help assist. And also, not even just older guys that are playing frequently, but like we just looked at, two teams that made it to the conference playoffs respectively, between the Miami Heat and Golden State Warriors. Two teams that have two guys between Andre Iguodala and Udonis Haslem who may don't get on the floor very much, but they know how to help us, assist in getting the other guys to grow up beyond their
Right.
years. And I think that's one of the reasons Iguodala was so proud of Wiggins yesterday. So that's just one of the routes. So I don't think that you draft. In the event that you do draft, it's what you need is probably not there because you need that dog. You need that emotional leader. You need that edgy guy. You need that guy that when there's no reason for Kevin Durant and Trae Young to be standing nose to nose and face to face in a game like they did last year. You need somebody that's gonna
Mhm.
step in and say, "Oh no,
Oh, no.
that's my point
Right.
guard. You gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
go through me first," type of deal.
Yes.
They
Yes.
Right.
need one of those types of guys. And so, you start looking at the Marcus Smarts in this league and, things like that. Draymond Greens we talked about and Jimmy Butler's, guys that done been through some things off the court. And when I say been through some things off the court, I'm not necessarily talking about anything negative. We don't want headaches. We don't want, problem child. We
Mhm.
don't want any of that. But some guys that done been through some struggles, it hit a little bit different. And I think that ultimately that's got some of the stuff that they need because those are the things that don't show up on the stat sheet that adds a
Mhm.
number to the left side of the result column.
Yeah, and we talked about this, kind of texted about it even yesterday and the day before, where when Jarvis and I started seeing some of those articles in the rumor mill talking about, moving pieces to move up in the draft, and I immediately texted you like, "No, Jason, I don't want any parts of it," because I
No,
agree
no
with you.
more,
And
no
I
more
think Jarvis was
drafts.
saying the same. Yeah, we're like draft. No, no, we don't need anybody here that we need to teach. We need to get off the Similac and like move on to some solid food, and that's what you get from a veteran. But here's my last question for you before we wrap up. I'm going to give you a rank 'em. So, because you've got people in different camps. Some people are in the camp of we need the backup point guard. Some people are in the camp of nope, nope. The biggest need is that of a true wing, a swing who can just really get out there and defend on the wing. And then some say we need a different kind of big, but in the season. 45 seconds. Tell us, build the case for where you think the number one need is there if the first move that Travis Schlenk needs to make in those three spaces.
Whoever's going to be able to fill that need at as many of those positions possible
Mhm.
defensively.
Yes.
Whoever that guy is. I don't care if you go get him from the local supermarket for crying out loud. Go get him. Sign him. Do that because that's what you need. You need the stops. Golden State, everybody loves the way that they shoot three pointers. And I know that this isn't a Golden State podcast, but I didn't try to build this Hawks organization and team around Golden State. The Atlanta Hawks did, and
Mm-hmm.
for a good reason. So, from that standpoint, they don't just do very well for shooting from three. They also were one of the top defensive teams in the league this year. So that's just what I would do if there's a position for that. It would probably be on the wing because you have somebody in a guy like Hunter who can get stops on
Mm-hmm.
everywhere from just about one to maybe
Yep.
four position. But I don't think that may not even be available. Likely is not in this draft. I know you guys asked me a question a second ago. We're up against it. 10 seconds. If there was a guy probably standing pat at 16 with the way this team is currently orchestrated, I'd probably say Dalen Terry of
Mm-hmm.
of um of Arizona.
Yeah.
I know that that's kind of high for some people, but it doesn't matter what it is to everybody else as long as it's the right fit for and
There
what you
you go.
need it to be.
Yes, and you so said a word on that. We've all talked about this before, Jarvis, you, me, the fact that it's not necessarily a name that is needed. It's that dog and that defender that's needed for the Hawks more than anything, whatever that name looks like and whatever position that person comes from. But we could go on and on talking to you, and we will bring you back because we want to talk a little bit more post draft and kind of get reaction and also any
Hmm.
big free agency moves, most definitely, that we're looking to see from the Hawks. And like you said, we saw it time and time again. The Celtics, that's how they got to the NBA Finals, letting their defense lead to offense. And then the Warriors, whom everybody pays attention to their offense last night, showed you defensively is why they were able to get another chip for the chip in the last 8 years. Deshaun, we can't say enough. We talked about Steve Kerr as being somebody who needs to be in that conversation about being that guy. Well, we got this guy because he needs to be in the conversation anytime you talk about somebody who knows college basketball and NBA basketball inside and out. So thanks again for stopping by ATL Day Ones. And when we come back, guys, as always, it's for the culture because we got to tell you why Atlanta influences everything.